Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about how Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, and James Gunn never ever intended to ever make a Black Superman movie. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. And I said this earlier this year, and I said it last year when talking about James Gunn. One of the videos I made about James Gunn Superman movie at the time did not come out, and of course it came out just yesterday. But this is way before it ever came out. And so I think I was talking about Superman and Lois or something. I don't know what I was talking about. But I literally said there's no way James Gunn's ever gonna make a Black Superman movie. Never. And well, as of now, it has been scrapped. Now, for those who don't know, the Black Superman is from an Elseworld story. I believe his name is Calvin Ellis Val-Zod. So he is an Elseworld version of, like, Superman. He wears the blue suit, white cape, S on the chest. That's all I know about him. I've never heard about this dude until like they announced they was gonna make a movie. And the reason why I felt like they was never gonna make this movie is for a couple of reasons. I'll explain those reasons. The first reason is why it was even put in development, and that was to do damage control. A few years ago, there was a show on Sci-Fi called Krypton. It was supposed to show what Krypton was like about 200 years before it exploded. And it followed that of Superman's paternal grandfather. And right then and there, a lot of people scratched their heads and all like, well, why the heck do we want to see Superman's grandfather? And he has no powers. And he's on Krypton and blah, 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 and stuff like that. Well, that's because, they couldn't use Superman because of legal rights, because he was still tied up in the movies, and that was all in limbo because of the DCEU and Henry Cavill, and was he coming back? Was he not? And I think at the time, they also had Superman and Lois, I believe. And so it was a little fishy around that time. And I remember I watched the first season, and it was a really different type of show. They showed Krypton being a dystopia, where it's kind of like a desert wasteland, and people are dressing kind of Mad Max kind of style, and and it was really dark and gritty. They had some great action, some great set pieces, some great CGI for the set pieces and stuff. And if they would have just had a Superman suit, had him flying around, it would have been pretty better and everything. Like, it was just a really dark, gritty show where a lot of people just couldn't get along in the government and stuff. They also teased that of Doomsday. We got to see him, and they had a really cool looking Brainiac of all things. Like, Brainiac looked legit. Like, he was amazing looking. Problem is, his suit was so tight fitting and bulky, he could not move around. So in the finale of the first season, he didn't do much, and it was a huge letdown. But basically, the show was about Adam Strange going back in time to save Superman's grandfather, because General Zod was up to his nefarious, things and stuff, right? For the most part, I think the first season's pretty okay. Then they got to the second season and they introduced Lobo, and I just didn't watch after that first episode. And so, like, General Zod showed up, and I'm all like, oh, hey, General Zod is black in this. And then there was the huge twist. In the first season, General Zod went back in time to, prevent Superman from being born. Superman's cape changed where the logo went from the House of El to the House of Zod. And so, it was revealed that General Zod's father was Superman's grandfather, which means Superman's grandfather and Zod's actual mother made them. So Superman is related to Zod. And I was like, holy crap. And stuff. And so, like, because everybody in the house of Zod is evil, except for like the daughter. At first she was good, but then she later turned evil. And then the great grandmother, she was originally evil, then turned good and stuff. But anyways, so many years, well, not many years, a few years later, after the show was canceled, what is it? One of the writers, who is black, he pitched for the show Superman should be black. And right then and there, I think either the people working on the show or the DC or Warner Brothers or somebody said no. So they compromised and made Zod half black, half white. And so he exposed this on Twitter. I don't know if he got fired from the show or not. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read the article. But anyways, after this got leaked and everything, there was damage control. WB, like, oh no, we're in panic mode. Everybody's gonna think we're racist and everything. So then all of a sudden they're all like, hey, we might not have made Superman black in this show, but guess what? We're gonna make a black Superman movie with the Elseworld Superman. What's his name? What did I say his name was? I'm not in front of the computer. His something cultist, and so that was in development. And then of course the shift happened in DC in Warner Brothers, where David Zaslav appointed Peter Safran and James Gunn to take over the DC division after the flop after the flop after the flop of the DCEU. And so James Gunn was stuck having to make this movie he had no intention of ever wanting to make. And at that time, James Gunn literally told everybody, hey, I'm making a Superman movie. I'm gonna write it, I'm gonna direct it, and it's gonna come out in a couple of years. And it came out yesterday, finally. And so with that, I knew right then and there that Black Superman movie was dead on arrival. Because James Gunn, when he started the casting and everything like that, his Superman was white, his Lois was white, his Jimmy Olsen was white, his Lex Luthor was white, his Cat Grant was white, and his Tessemacher, or whatever her name is, was white too. And I'm just like, wow. James Gunn really dialed back the DEI on this movie. I thought for sure he would have like race bent somebody. Like Lex Luthor made him black because in Superman the animated series, people assume Lex was black, but he was not. He just had like a dark tan. Especially when you compare him to other black characters on the show, which was rare. But you saw it was just a tan. Then in the Harley Quinn animated series, he's black. And, you know, with Lois and My Adventures of Superman, they made her Asian, but you can't really tell because they gave her no Asian features. But Jimmy Olsen has been black for the last like 10 years or so, starting on the Supergirl show, then in animation like the My Adventures with Superman, and then some animated movie he was black. Same thing with Perry White, first in Man of Steel, then in animation. And Perry White is the only race-bent character in James Gunn's Superman. Now he did bring in Mr. Terrific, who is black from the comics, and of course he made Hawk Girl like Latina because she's been Latina ever since the Justice League cartoon, like what was that, 20 years ago or something like that. So I'm all like, wow, I thought he would at least race bent like Jimmy or like Lex or like Lois, but he didn't. He kept it like traditional. And when I saw that, I'm like, he is never making a black Superman movie. And somebody asked him a while back, not too long ago, is the Black Superman movie still in development? And he said yes, but it will be an Elseworld story. And with that, I'm all like, he's lying. He's lying. He's lying. He's never gonna make a Black Superman movie because he has his own Superman movie and he does not want competition. And I figured this out with Superman and Lois, especially when it came to an end. Now, the reason why Superman and Lois came to an end is mainly because of Netstar buying the CW, and Netstar just didn't want the show. It ended after 3 seasons, even though they had a 4th season planned. So they had to scramble over there at Warner Bros. Because fans really wanted this show back. And James Gunn is all like, yeah, I know people really like this show and blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, we're going to give them one last season to like wrap everything up. And they did on the CW. It was rushed and it was a bit messy. However, since James Gunn and Peter Safran are the heads of Warner Brothers divisions for DC and stuff like that, if they really wanted to, they could have brought that show to HBO Max and continue it for however many seasons it originally had. But as you can see, they did not. Why? Competition and everything. I don't care what anybody says, even the lead actress from this show, because she's trying to play it safe Hollywood. That man don't want no competition, period. Superman was going to make or break his career at where he's at DC, and he wasn't going to take no chances with no other version of Superman. So why did it get canceled? Well, it's none other than the devil himself, David Zaslav. Now, for now, this is just a rumor, but so far, the rumor is the reason why it got canceled or dismissed for now is because he felt the script was too woke. And the movie was supposed to take place during the civil rights movement. So, because David Zaslav is because of who he is and the stuff that he has canceled in the past, this is no surprise. Now, we have to go back in time. After David Zaslav took over, he canceled the Batgirl movie. Now, Batgirl was gonna feature that of a half black, half white Batgirl, but the actress is actually Afro-Latina, but they were gonna make her black and white in the movie. It was low budget. Originally, it's supposed to be like on a streaming movie, then it was supposed to go to theaters, then like back to streaming, something like that. So this is something I talked about before, and it led to a lot of anger. So basically, when the DCEU was imploding on itself and Henry Cavill didn't want to come back, and you know, Ben Affleck was done and everything, Batman and Superman, the original heads of like Warner Bros. Are like, all right, let's just focus on Supergirl and Batgirl and let them be the driving force of DC Warner Brothers. David Zaslav took over and was like, we ain't having this. It's gonna be Batman, it's gonna be Superman. So with this movie still being made, and it was nearly done, like just a little teeny tiny bit to finish up and they would have been completed, he decided, I'm scrapping the entire thing and it's never gonna be shown ever. And people's all like, what the heck just happened? They spent all this money on the movie, it got completely scrapped, and nobody is ever gonna see it, and they're just gonna delete it. And this was so he can get the money back for the taxes and everything. Because Warner Bros. Is in a very bad shape. They are legit like bleeding money and everything. And the guys who made this movie are the ones who made the third Bad Boys movie. And they can make some really good movies and action scenes. So what the heck happened in this movie that was so god awful that he would want to cancel the entire thing? Nobody will ever know because they're not allowed to say. And one of the dudes making this movie, I think it was his wedding day, and he got told, hey, your movie getting scrapped and nobody's going to see it and it's about to get deleted. That's some wedding gift right there. And so, like, eventually they let the two directors watch the finished movie. And after that, it was supposedly deleted or locked in a vault or something, 'cause they had to write it off and everything. And people still just wonder what the heck was wrong with this movie. Then all of a sudden, um, Peter Safran, who works for James Gunn, is all like the movie was unwatchable. I don't believe that for a second, because they put out crappy movies and they never canceled those. Then they had Michael Keaton, of all people, diss the movie and all like, well, it was no good and they probably made the right decision. I'm just kind of like, I have never heard Michael Keaton diss a movie except for the Joel Schumacher movies and stuff. And that's because he was originally supposed to be in it, but of course things did not work out. Other than that, I have never heard Michael Keaton diss a movie. And it's weird because this came right after Peter Safran and this whole David Zaslav crap. So I believe they made him say that. And so, like, but apparently the movie was so bad they didn't want to release it. Even though David Zaslav put out that of the Flash, and there's a whole lot of drama with the Flash and Black Adam. The Flash literally has a criminal as the lead star. After the movie was complete, they had to reshoot it over and over and over again because Ezra Miller became a legit criminal acting stupid and everything. And so, like, they still put that out and it flopped hard. Then there's the whole Black Adam drama and The Rock trying to take over the DC division of Warner Brothers, and that was a financial flop and everything. But yet David Zaslav's all like, oh, these two movies are blockbuster movies. They'll do great. They did not do great and everything. So and then because of that, Aquaman 2 got affected because they had to do reshoots in that. And then that flopped hard. So these three movies with three huge men in it and everything apparently did not save Warner Brothers. And this is why they're bleeding money even worse than before. And so if those movies sucked and the Flash movie sucked, I couldn't even finish Aquaman 2. Black Adam had some good moments, but it was still sucky. If those were so bad, then what the heck happened in Batgirl? I believe nothing. I don't believe it was a terrible movie. There are scenes that were filmed that was on YouTube at one point, and it looked pretty cool and everything. And so I just believe this man wanted taxes off it. Because of the simple fact, after he did this, he started canceling tons of diverse shows on his platform, HBO Max. He just completely erased them just to get the money back off them. And these were shows that featured people of color, women as the lead, LGBT, tons of diverse content and everything. And because of this, other studios started to follow and everything until the government stepped in. It's all like, look, what y'all are doing is no different than having a company set their company on fire and collecting the insurance. So then after a while, they said that all stopped. And so when it comes to David Zaslav, clearly this man has a problem with diversity and everything. Not much is known about him. But there has been a rumor from one YouTuber who suggests he likes a certain political person and he likes a certain news channel. And when she said that, I'm all like, this is why people have been complaining about CNN. CNN has changed. Anderson Cooper sounds different. And a lot of people have been wondering why all of a sudden does this like news channel sound so extreme, if you know what I'm talking about. And because David Zaslav owns CNN and everything. And so I do believe this man has a problem with diversity and everything. Like I really do, to a certain degree, where he just feels like it's not worth it and everything. Because after that, ironically, there was supposed to be a Batman cartoon made from Bat Reeves, J.J. Abrams, and Bruce Timm of all people. And Warner Bros. HBO, no, what is it called? HBO Max decided, yeah, we don't want this new Batman cartoon, even though it's Warner Brothers and it's DC and it's supposed to be on our platform. We just don't want it. So Amazon bought it. And when you watch that cartoon, you notice there's a lot of diversity in that cartoon series because they basically race bent a lot of characters. After that, the man started getting rid of Looney Tune projects to where Ketchup Company, now that's the name, Ketchup. It's not actual ketchup. That's the name of the company. They bought the 2 Looney Tune movies that he had canceled and everything as they was near completion. That Scooby-Doo movie is still scrapped. And the man has literally sold off so much DC property to Tubi and other networks just so he can get some money back. He is a horrible businessman and stuff. Now, the devil himself has literally said that Peter Safran and James Gunn could still develop this Black Superman movie down the line many years from now. No, they won't. No, they won't. The man himself at the very, very top is the one who acts this movie supposedly and everything. So they have to do whatever he says because James Gunn is too busy building his universe and making whatever stupid movie some creator wants to make. Oh, a Clayface movie. Oh, a dynamic duel movie that are puppets and everything. And other dumb stuff. And James Gunn supposedly wants to make a Jimmy Olsen television show based on his Superman movie. Ain't nobody asked for no stinking Jimmy Olsen, who just takes pictures and is friends with Superman. Who in the world wants to watch that show? But we can't have a Black Superman, but we gotta have Jimmy Olsen of all things. Supposedly and everything. This movie will never get made, and I mean never get made, because they are under the assumption that black does not sell. This is the mindset that Hollywood has had for decades. This is the mindset that they're listening to when they see all these angry people on YouTube, all these angry guys making their videos about how we can't have a black Little Mermaid or a Latina Snow White and everything. They're too busy pandering to those type of people and everything. But they forget movies like Black Panther that sold very well, that was predominantly black, and lately Sinners, the black vampire movie that was set in the Jim Crow era. That movie did phenomenal at the box office, and it proved that black can sell, and it's a Warner Brothers movie. This must have slipped David Zaslav big head or something like that, to where he didn't realize it, or probably thought it was gonna flop, but it made him tons of money. So why wouldn't he want a black Superman movie? Because, of course, it's Superman as a black man. And David Zaslav is apparently just feeding into that hate online that, oh, we don't want no race-bent Superman. Well, he's not Kal-El. He's somebody completely different whose name I can't remember how to pronounce. And everything. He's an Elseworld story and everything. And it's quite a shame because I'm now intrigued about a black Superman movie. Like, I'm curious to see what he's about. And let's not even forget about, I think her name is Nebula, I think. She's like that black Amazon that supposedly is still in production and is a big priority to James Gunn. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because he's going to bring in the regular Wonder Woman and everything. And I know what some people have said. Well, James Gunn has cast diverse people in the past. That's when he was working for Disney. Now, he technically did do it for Suicide Squad. Why he went the diverse route, nobody will really know. Because he went that route with like 3 of their characters and stuff. So who really truly knows, you know what I'm saying? And Peacemaker has some diverse people as well. I think there's a trans man in there, there's a black woman. There's a heavy set guy, and I don't watch that show, but I remember when I watched the first episode and stuff, and the pictures. So he does, cast diverse people, but like he ain't gonna make no black Superman movie. Like, and he ain't gonna make no black Amazon Wonder Woman liking type movie either. Like, he's not gonna do that because like Superman is now his baby, and fans are liking this movie, and the scores is getting on Rotten Tomato. He ain't making no black Superman movie. And I wish they would just come out and be all like, hey, we're just not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of lying to people. And years later, people ask, what about, just didn't work out. Yeah, you could have made it work out and everything. But your boss was all like, it's too woke, it's too woke, it's too woke and everything. And like, and I bet the man doesn't even know what the word like woke even means. Like, you know what I'm saying? Alrighty. Well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.